I'm checking my volume, visibility. Right. I'm checking. Just making sure that I'm online and opening up my chat in case you're watching me online. Just let me know if you can see me. Awesome. Just making sure that I'm online. Opening up my chat in case you're watching me online. Just let me know if yes. So that means I am online. I'm able to hear my own echo. And let's see what we've got today. Welcome to Unlocking Emotional Mastery Using Brain Power, Brain Skills. And we are on episode number 48. And we're going to be talking about empathy skills and how do we use that for, family relationship and in marriage between spouse, and how can we improve and resolve the conflicts at the same time, strengthen the bonds between the spouse and people around us in the family, and be able to create that kind of a supportive, loving home environment. I'm sure it's the most demanded skills, and whether we are a busy mom or a busy dad, a leader outside, a leader inside, we all need this particular skill, right? And today the world is churning towards a lot of FOMO, a lot of competition and fear, anxiety. We're churning towards mental health problems. In order to combat this, one superpower will definitely make us grounded. Okay. Of course, as a human, we all want, our wants, likes, dislikes are so much that we also have to practice the grounding every day. Okay. So for you to practice grounding, you definitely need some skills, tools. And one classic tool could be empathy. And it is most important more than ever now. Okay. Especially when world is going through pandemics after pandemics and human connections are receding. AI is invading in our homes and space and time. Um, it is important to keep building that and nurturing that right from your family. They say charity begins at home. Even emotional intelligence begins at home within self. Okay. So today we'll see um, different angle, different tips for busy moms or any career professional, busy career professionals, whether you're a woman or a man, a student, or any profile you are in. This is for you. In case you have been looking for some game changer tips and expertise, examples, or any practical tools, then this will definitely help you. If you're still not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so that whenever I come online, you will get notified. And after a certain time, once it gets automatic, it's a algorithm also picks it. There are certain things that I would have to slow it down in terms of sharing. Maybe in another two more episodes I will stop certain things and start something new. So if you have not made use of those ones that I'm offering during these episodes, please do it. because you may not find that offer or gift going forward, because it is important that we need people who can value that, and it goes to those people who value. And if you have been listening to my episodes continuously, I would really like to, pass on the sincere thank you to you. And stay tuned. You will definitely find nuggets in each of the episode, because we're going to be talking about 100 topics towards developing emotional intelligence needed skills, using your own left brain, right brain, and midbrain, talents. So it is all the more practical, realistic, and it is globally required. With that being said, we'll see today also how we can approach empathy towards left brain, that is your logical brain, and towards your right brain. Sometimes integration is also important. It'll be interesting to see how even the empathy as a skill, it is more of a emotional processing brain, that is your right brain, how logical brain helps you to be empathetic sometimes. You will it'll be very interesting to know how you can take that blend of logic into empathy. Okay, especially when it is applied in family relationship, you will see the outcome immediately. That is more important. It's a gift. It's a powerful skill. If you as a busy mom, if you can hold that in your power, you're going to exhibit that and you will see the outcome for you. So we'll see how left brain approaches empathy in relationship. Okay. You're going to use logical observation to understand family members' emotion. That is responding thoughtfully and constructively. You're going to give that shape and structure to the conversation, adding, elements, gathering data from logical brain and infusing that into your conversations so that it becomes um, there has to be an end in any conversation, right? Even if it's a conflict, there has to be an end. It just cannot go endless or aimless. So for which you need a logical data in order to give a constructive end towards a conversation or any conflict. You need that logical derivation. And your right brain approach says you're going to use emotional intuition, connecting with family members' feelings and providing that emotional safety first in order to approach any conversations in relationship. You approach in a way that you provide the emotional safety to that person. How are you going to do that is the whole question, and that is how empathy is defined. So we're going to see all those elements today. Okay, I want you to take a pen and note, get started. And I also want you to write down all those insights as comments. And I will tell you how you'll get rewarded. If you stay till the episode, you will understand. And if you have been listening to these episodes in the beginning, from the beginning, it'll be easy for you to connect the dots and you know what I'm going to be talking at the end of the episode. But hang on, it's very important to, there may be few things I may be grinding each and every episode, because that is very important to get inside your, your each and every cell towards when you're keen to work towards emotional intelligence. These principle, these golden wisdom has to get inside you. Only then awareness is gone inside, and then it is easy for you to start applying. Until such time, it is hard for you to rewire your brain, especially when we're talking about brain skills. How do you develop the brain skills? Essentially what we are doing is to trying to put something in a good place where your brain can access that and start applying it, for which you need to enable that easy access to your brain by using your own logical data. When I share the insights, please use that logical approach to understand how do you use that. You put that into action. Whatever insights you're gaining here, if you get convinced, make that as an action plan and see for yourself whether it's working or not that way. And for your right brain, you need to get inspired. You need to be curious. Okay, now she's saying something, it looks relatable, but it is in her experience. But what about me? There also you're raising your curiosity. You're inspired to take some action. That is your right brain approach. And then when you act on it to see the outcome, then you're able to reflect. That means you're acting out of midbrain because you've already taken the blend of both logical and right brain. Okay. By the time you travel with me for the 100 days, at the end of 100 days, I think even you will start talking about left brain, right brain, midbrain activities. Okay. So we will see what is the benefit of empathy. Stronger emotional connection. Empathy fosters emotional intimacy, helping couples and families bond deeply. Okay. It is very important to deepen that connection. at least inside the family, it is very important to gain that trust. Okay. You need to be genuine in your connections, right? You just cannot fake in your relationship and be peaceful at work. Just cannot happen because it is anyway going to erupt. It's a matter of time. Okay. Then it is also helping you to have a better conflict resolution. Understanding emotion behind every disagreement is only leading you to a healthier conflict resolution. If you cannot understand the emotional impact or the reason as to why they are disagreeing, that means you're missing some huge data point. You just cannot go blindfolded, trusting your viewpoints and not and dismissing why they are, coming from that. What is the source of their point? Then you're going to get increase your trust. So when family members feel understood, they're going to trust each other more. Okay, that's an easy payment that you're doing. Using these skills, taking these skills in your hand, it is like a tool for you. You can walk with it. It's going to pay way at each angle of your life, whether you are doing that within the family to build that connection, or you may be even empathetic to people outside. As long as you are able to see a win-win strategy, all these tools are going to come to your rescue and be able to serve you well. On that note, you're going to be practicing, all these skills on a daily basis. As long as you're able to travel with me in this 100 days, I'm sure even if you are able to act on one or two skills, one or two tips every day, it's going to help you rewire your brain for good. Then let's talk about challenges of empathy. What happens when you overdo on any particular skill? You by now know we are acting on our brain, we are trying to rewire. At the same time, when you're trying to learn something new, sometimes it's just human, tendency to get lean on something very special or very comfortable. We get, we may be super talented in something which is very easy for us. It gives us the efficiency, and so we are very comfortable. Changing that will jeopardize our, will make us jittered. Okay. So it is very important that you don't get into the comfort zone, because when you overdo on any skill, you will definitely get comfort. You might even get the efficiency in it, but then it has its own consequences because you're missing the other side of it. Always remember, this is my left brain, left side and right side. Left brain, right brain. Imagine there is a bubble, and midbrain. Midbrain is what is emotional intelligence. So you need to come to access your midbrain. Okay. So challenges if you overdo on empathy it could be emotionally exhaustive. Constantly empathizing during stressful times can lead to emotional burnout. Over involvement also. Excessive empathy may cause emotional strain from others' challenges. So only worrying about others' challenges and you don't take care of your own challenges. It could be a self-care time, or it could be your own well-being, relationship time that you're spending. You're supposed to be spending both for yourself and for your people. But then if you're constantly worried, especially busy moms, right? Moms have this guilt in case we have not taken care enough or spent enough time. Sometimes we might even be ready to do a helicopter parenting, micromanaging, but we will not be able to understand that we are doing it unless somebody gives us a feedback, and that feedback will be brutal usually. So it is high time for us to buckle up and then reflect on our own self, make use of these personal development series. So you're going to use those insights. I'm going to be giving you a questionnaire reward, that's coming to you as a quiz bundle. So you can assess it and you can see where you stand. And then from there on, you start improving your areas of improvement. Okay. The second overkill that second consequences of overkill will be over involvement. Okay. Excessive empathy can cause emotional strain from others' challenges also. Boundary issues. These two are the consequence of the lack of boundary in you. If you have something important to attend, but you're getting a call from somebody, and if you do not know to say no, that means you're crossing your own boundaries and you're letting other people cross your boundaries. That is the first step to exhaustion. You may not understand that at the first front, but the more you dwell on it, the more you keep doing it, you keep allowing everybody to step on it. That is when you will see the exhaustion. And after exhaustion, it's a sure shot burnout. But before you even go to exhaustion, there are many steps you would have breached it. You need to be able to identify that and put yourself in a position where both your self empathy and others' empathy can be taken care. Essentially, emotional intelligence itself is driven by, with two components, self and others. So it is not always about others and it is not always self centric. It is a balance of both self and others. Always remember these two keywords, balance and harmony. If you are able to get this right, put that as a comment, type in the chat, balance and harmony. Then you're already getting the message. No matter what skills you want to do, you will do it in balance and make sure that you work in harmony. It's okay. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't get it. But the thing is how quickly you bounce back and keep continuing to do what is working for you. So that note, let's see if somebody is joined, and I know if people are watching me online, just give me your name or smiley. I'll understand that you're watching me online. Just want to acknowledge you and thank you for staying online. All right, I'm going to show my heart. All right. So, importance of empathy. Without empathy, what happens? Relationship becomes emotionally distant. You're going to have misunderstandings and increased conflict. Am I right? How, have you recently felt emotionally distant with anybody within your family? It's because one, you may be having a misunderstanding, or it could be anything, a conflict, small or big one. Or it could really be an exhaustion that you tried so many things, it's not working. Maybe it's to do with the other person empathy. That also is there, right? So as I just said, it is self and others, but it's the same thing for them also, right? Sometimes they also have to reciprocate. So that is why boundaries. If you feel that they are not valuing, that you are the only person who is giving, it's a big no, it's a red signal. Then you need to stop it immediately. Limit it. Conserve your energy, emotion, your power, everything. Okay. So that is the first thing you will understand. That's just, feedback. It could be the same from you. If you think you are, perched in too much into the privacy, or into, when you're a mother who's micromanaging helicopter parenting, we will not understand it unless we have been told, right? It is sometimes brutal from the children or from spouse or from anybody, but it is for us to reflect a message on. But with empathy, you will have clear understanding and connection, creating that necessary stronger bonds and reducing the unresolved conflicts. Definitely, it will have a reduced effect on conflicts when you have empathy. Okay. You won't at least have the situation get escalated. But at the same time, it's not guaranteed that when you act with empathy, that there will be no fights, no conflicts at all, there'll be no misunderstanding. No, we are dealing with emotions, and we are dealing with human carrying that emotion. And humans are very dynamic. Different ages, different likes and dislikes, and they keep evolving biologically, mentally, based on their influences. And we're all coming together as a family unit. So it's going to be very, very dynamic, sometimes volatile. But with empathy, what's going to happen is you can keep that in check, because when you're operating with true empathy together in balance, you will be able to take the harmony. Sometimes you will give in, but sometimes you would definitely would like to take in. And that needs to be communicated to your spouse or to your children. You can do so, because your compassion to yourself is also, your time is needed. Your me time is needed. Your well-being also is supposed to be important. So I'm sure this is a valid lesson for any moms who are watching. If you're a mom who's watching this, um, give me a smiley. I'll understand. Okay, now statistically, what's happening is couples who are practicing empathy have 55% higher relationship satisfaction and 48% better conflict resolution. It never says no conflict. It's just that conflict resolution, because that's what is important, right? It's okay to have conflict. In fact, healthier conflicts are must. There needs to be exchange of opinion, views, disagreements, agreements, consensus, right? We need to practice all that. But it has to be constructively done. That is why a blend of both logical and emotional aspect to it. Now, who benefits from this is couples, of course. We are looking to build emotional connections and improving communication. Parents, better understanding and supporting their children emotionally, and siblings who are, trying to foster deeper emotional closeness and reducing family conflicts. Okay. Now, let's see where and all we can apply empathy in parenting. At family instances, let's see where we are gonna apply the empathy in parenting. Now, before that, I would just like to know whether I am um Okay, let me share my screen. Awesome. Okay, cool. So now this is an understanding where we're going to apply empathy in parenting. So first thing is you're going to approach this in three ways. There could be many other ways, but in the interest of time, we're going to take three steps. First, you're going to showcase your understanding. Okay. By how? Parents actively observe and acknowledge their children's emotional states. You're going to recognize when a child is frustrated with homework rather than just, you know, being difficult on them. Okay. So that means if you are able to recognize the difficulty in the child, that means you are able to understand the emotions. Now, next step is to provide that support, correct? Because you won't let the child go through that difficulty time. You're going to offer it. Okay. Always remember, empathy in action is different, but empathy itself is different. It stops before action. So until action time comes, what are all the things that you need to do is what we're going to discuss today. But before that, application wise, I'm going to drill down to only few steps. Very easy to remember that way. So first thing is to understand, and then you're going to offer the support. Okay, there also, you're going to offer emotional guidance tailored to each situation. So, for example, you're going to sit quietly with a disappointed child after losing a game or something and validate their feelings before discussing the sportsmanship. We all do this, and that is why this example, because I thought let it be a practical one. I've also been through it. So, my examples are given here sometimes to make it more relatable because I don't want to pick up something which is, especially as a parent, we all are expert in our own things. It's just that we have gone too much of expertise. We're just going to bring that into neutrality. Thereby, we have common examples in case you have the same age group kids, whether it's boy or a girl, most of them will be common problems and common examples how we deal with. Okay. So if you have something missing, it's not happening in your side, maybe it'll be an insight. But if you do not have an awareness that this is what is the impact, then it becomes an insight for you to really start applying. Okay. A classical example here is we all tend to give the lessons, moral of the story, how to be sports, sportsman, spirit and all that, right? But are we stepping into their shoes to understand how do they even feel and take it, first of all? Maybe you can give them some validation, encouragement as to or acknowledge what they have done well before sharing any feedback. Whether it is done in a personal front or at workplace, it is important to encourage them with what they have already done really good. Acknowledge their efforts first and then offer your advice or solutions or whatever it is. Thereby, you're going to foster the growth because the aim is to build deeper connection. So, what and all you have to do is what we're going to discuss. If you are able to understand and offer support, how? The first is emotional support. Were you able to be in their shoes to even understand what they went through and how did they come through? Then maybe some extra tips that will work. So thereby, you're going to help your children develop emotional awareness by and coping skills. So it's like, how do you teach the coping skills there? It's a very intense moment, right? You need to be very critical with your words. So you're going to say, to express, I feel sad when, instead of acting out, building that lasting emotional intelligence. So you're going to tell them to use these words. I feel sad when, instead, she did this, you did this, right? Blaming or, aiming outwardly. Instead of that, teach them how to aim inwardly and start using these feeling words. When the moment the sentence starts with I feel, that means it's more personalized. The other person has no judgment towards that. It is my individual experience. How can it go wrong or right? Right? It is different from you. We all are different. Five fingers are not same in the same hand. So the first rule and the way you put across or ask the child to use these things to be able to express their feelings. That way it will even help them in their friendship or within their schoolmates or after they become after they grow up, the more they practice using this, it becomes more easy for the other person to understand and offer that solutions. And if you can demonstrate the same way, then it is easy for the child to pick up that cues. Otherwise, it's going to be an outside studies where we are not modeling, and their logical brain will not even accept that. It might resist. Then let's talk about marital conflict, how empathy is going to be used there. First, again, very, very important is to listen to your partner. You're going to practice active, non judgmental listening when your spouse shares concerns. For example, maintaining eye contact and nodding supportively. Don't nod too much. It's not inconsistent, it's actually a distraction, right? So it is very important to keep that nod also very neutralized. Whenever it's required, make it very thoughtful, okay, very responsive, not reactively, not impulsively, or you're not faking it there. That genuinity is important to be expressed. That will reduce the intensity if you can do this too. One is main, turn yourself, angle yourself fully, make sure that they realize that you're fully paying attention, and don't fidget with anything in your hands or anything. Your gesture has to be really aimed to focus on their conversation. Maintain that eye contact, okay? Show them that you're curious to know through your body gesture. Yesterday, in another episode, in a different angle of taking emotional insight, how you can read the body gesture cues and all that, we did pick up a lot of tips and examples over there. So in case you ever missed it, please go through that episode. And even in the previous episode, when we are talking about empathy and emotional insight in different angles, there were a lot of strategies to make use of it. Then, if you let them know that you understood them, how are we going to do? Is look beyond their compliance. Don't just take the compliance at surface level, and don't just be taken aback. First we offer the self-defense. It's very, very important not to get into the self-defense when we are trying to listen. We're trying to listen to the underlying emotion there, why they are saying what they are saying. It's not about what yet. Okay, for instance, when your spouse is upset about household chores not getting completed on time, they may be actually going through some guilt, or they may be feeling undervalued or overwhelmed. You need to understand that underlying emotion, not what they speak out, what they blurt out. Of course, it needs to be mattered, because that's the first thing that comes to the surface that takes you aback. But as a spouse in your family, you're going to do that extra mile. Okay. Then you stand there to resolve. That means you're going to create those solutions that address the practical and emotional needs. So in case you're talking about the household chores, the same household chores where she's getting overwhelmed, maybe you can, ask her or him if she needs any support to make some dinner or make some dishes. So that way, at least they will feel that you've understood what they are coming through. That itself is resolving. Okay. So first is listen, understand, make them know, let them know that you've understood, and offer solutions. Then empathy in sibling relationship is equally important. How are you going to nurture this in your child? Okay. First, how do you handle the sibling communication? Improved communication, you need to use empathy to understand both these siblings by fostering open dialogue, honest dialogue. Let it be open. Sometimes it is better to give the feedback, the negative feedback, one on one, and positive always upfront. But it could be sometimes that it needs to be a fair treatment. So, parenting is always supposed to be evolving, and we use different strategies at different time. We don't leave any stones unturned, right? If you're a parent watching this, give me a smiley. We would have used any anything which comes to our rescue. As long as things are getting solved, we would do so. So sometimes it works that negative feedback has to be given one-on-one, backhand. But in the front, offer compliments and other things. But sometimes between siblings, it'll be creating unnecessary FOMO, or unnecessary dialogue. So it's always best to open that dialogue. Especially teach the older ones to be patient and to help the younger ones who are struggling to communicate. Okay, you need to foster the responsibility. But I've seen a sibling, elder sibling, constantly being trusted on a bigger responsibility, and somehow they are tuned that they are more like a mother or father to the younger sibling more than acting like a sibling itself. So too much of giving that responsibility, they're also a child, right? So that also has to be taken care. Okay, but making them understand that they are child, no, and they need time yet to understand and express as to what is the set expectations. So similarly, how they were child, ask them to imagine how it is difficult for the younger one to communicate. So that time they are practicing empathy. They are not actually practicing any trusted responsibility yet. This is more of a sub elements in responsibility itself. Acting empathized, acting with empathy or empathizing as an act itself is a responsibility for every individual. Emotional closeness. In order to bring that closeness, it is important to also make them emotionally close. Not, this emotional closeness between siblings happens, when I've seen it, that when they grow, right, when they take different path, when the proximity between them gets reduced, especially when they get married and they move on, the emotional intimacy gets even more aligned. But when they are together, they don't really miss each other, right? That's when they're like taken for granted. But it is very important they don't get emotionally distant, okay? For which you're going to tell them to listen to their brother. And if there is anything, brother or a sister, if there is anything difficulty at school, has a closest to the age group, somebody is able to share their problems, it's even more easier for the younger ones to get closer, right? So teach them those things to share each other's feelings that way. Don't instead of acting weird or acting like an adult, grown adult, it'll be easy for the younger one to open up with somebody who's in the same similar age group, more or less. So teach that elder sibling that it is important. Then peaceful conflict resolution also is important. Not every fight needs to be escalated. They will themselves can resolve. So understanding each other's perspective is the first easiest way. If you can listen, I mean, that takes listening also. If they pay a little more time to first ask and then spare time for each other to listen to each other perspective itself can bring a lot harmonious resolution. And how, for instances, like when siblings disagree about sharing toys or taking time to understand each other feelings, help them find that fair solutions, like taking turns. Like you can tell the sibling, another one, now that you took your chance, let the fair time be given to the another sibling. So that way you're making it fair. They will also model the same thing. So these are some easiest and most important. It could be small, but then it is important to look into this perspective. And then how do we exercise empathy in extended family dynamics? Now, as a family, we may have different age group people, different likes, dislike, different dynamism. How are we going to embrace all that? So it is important to have a better communication, right? So you're going to use empathy to foster that understanding to extended family members also. So the proximity of the extended family members in a nuclear family is very, very less. In the same way, their understanding can also differ. So, especially as a daughter-in-law, it takes time to understand the mother-in-law's traditional viewpoints and vice versa. So it opens up more meaningful conversation about traditions and values if you can empathize their perspectives. There is a generation gap at each time. So, and it's common problem. Nobody is pretty new or nobody is like unique going through these problems. All of us go through this generation gap, irrespective of any role. You may be a daughter-in-law, you're a single, dealing with your own parents. There's still generation gap. So you need to be aware of it and then make yourself, in a better position by using empathy skills, and have that reduced conflict at homes using empathy skills. So, like, understanding their perspective itself can help you prevent using, you know, can help you prevent thinking, you know, constructively, at least, if not positively entirely, but at least logically, constructively, you can arrive at a solution by explaining your point of view. Explaining clearly your feelings can come, but at least, but before that, you need to be able to understand their perspectives. If you are blindfolded that you're not willing to take other people's perspective at all, then it is only one-sided, conversations, and it'll be endless conflict. You see how it could be small thing in a fraction of second is what is going to happen, but that's going to give you a huge effect. So that is how you're going to build a stronger bonds. So empathetic interactions create more deeper connections within the extended family. And it is very important. That's how our culturally we are all brought up, right? Although we are a nuclear family because of our own conveniences, but it doesn't stop us to take multiple perspective. It doesn't stop us to understand how they have been brought up. And it is important for us to let them know that what are we feeling inside. It's no more a stigma expressing our feelings, right? Maybe we are taught to leave the emotions when we get into our in-laws place, right? Only the in-laws or the family is important, but it is no more a stigma. And especially the new age kids, they are very straightforward in terms of what is their wants and likes and dislikes, and they're very, very clear. That is also an extreme. So we are losing that connection building. The only key source is to take that multiple perspective, embrace the everything, like find a win-win solution. If you don't have that ability to create a win-win solution, it is something we are lacking. And at the same time, every individual has to work on it, right? It's a give and take. As I said, self empathy and others empathy, it goes for everybody. But at the lack of, you just cannot have a control of over other people's mind, right? Especially with the generation gap. But how far we are able to stand and take their perspectives and be able to navigate it very clearly. So after you're able to communicate your side by understanding their perspectives, you're making, win-win strategy. After you tried every bit of yours, you should also be able to navigate and move on. So there is no self-sabotage. There is no, ingenuity created. You took enough steps. That is more important. So your empathy is the first step, and then we'll look for constructive solutions. But have you empathized, and were you given the same empathy is all is required, and it is a fair ask, right? Now, supporting spouse personal growth, that is more important right now, correct? We are a nuclear family, and we just cannot live poles apart. I cannot live in my own dreams and aspirations and every ambitions. As a family, it is important to converge somewhere and support each other. As I said, it's just not a balance of one, both of them working on different path, and both of them are working towards family, helping the family grow. But then somewhere we need to be harmonious. Sometimes, a wife could be really be struggling to progress. A man is already progressive there. So a man has to extend the help and support what she's needing at home front or with parenting with children issues. There has to be a balance and harmony. Sometimes the woman has to step in to the man's responsibility to understand and empathize and offer that kind of a solution, ask for more, what they would need. So these are the areas where you complement each other, and that is how harmonious relationship can happen. Sometimes it will be up, sometimes it will be low, and we should be willing and converge. Be patient, have faith. All these are underlying value system. It's all human values. It will not be tangible. So these are all emotional component. Logical component will be very tangible, concrete at the surface level. So if you can still logically approach saying you're earning money, this much amount money, my bank balance is this much, that much only we can share and we go each other. Instead, what are your dreams? How can I support? how much can we save together? How much can we reduce, minimize certain things so that you also win and we also win together? So that's how we understand the aspirations between each other and offer encouragement. It is just not personal development. It is just not professional development. It is also to do with personal development. And you're going to offer that engagement. You're going to provide that emotional support for spouse goals and challenges. So typically the women gets very docile once they get married, especially the ambitious women gets caged, right, into the family responsibilities. How harmoniously the spouse are working together to share their responsibilities and supporting each other goals and challenges is very critical. And both of each other's win. So there shouldn't be an ego saying wife is progressive and the man is driven out of ego, so they're not able to appreciate the fact, each and every moment is important, right? It's the same with the others. It's not that men is always progressive, ambitious, and they get to get their things done and they are very successful. So the woman becomes very, you know, what do you call, very submissive, and they self-sabotage and all that. So there has to be an identification of all those symptoms, and working in balance is very, very important. And celebrating each other progress is also a highest symbol, highest sign of emotional maturity. Now let's talk about 5 brain hacks directly, okay? So the first thing is actively listening in your relationship. That's going to be your left brain. So you're going to focus by giving undivided attention to your partner or a family member, okay? And you're going to listen without interruption. Interrupting can be a killer to any conversation. It kills the conversation. That itself can be a um, monster effect to any conversation becoming a conflict. Thereby, you're also showing understanding by without interruptions, you are actually naturally showing the understanding by demonstrating that you've heard and valued their perspective. How? You can say that, so far what I heard, help me understand if I heard you correctly, or is there anything else you are feeling that I have to know? These things shows understanding, or simply by maintaining eye contact and nodding and adding up, you can say how, it'll be very, I understand, I can imagine how you're feeling through. That is validation again. So all these actually tells the other person that you're understanding them. Most of the problems gets resolved by itself if the other person, the person with the problem felt heard and valued. Okay. The second one is to acknowledging and validating emotions. We have seen this good amount of time in the previous episodes, but I am happy, and it is very important to keep grinding these things so well that, it may be boring for you, but it is very important to get this instilled in our, body and soul, mind, so that it comes to our rescue when it's needed. And you have to apply this as well. It's just not listening to me. Sometimes people feel that episodes, certain strategies are repeated, but these strategies are powerful and basic. If you get these basic clear imagine the 100 episode, if I'm going to grind certain strategies over and over again, what does it mean? It means that this is the globally accepted, universally accepted, and it is the most easiest one, which really gets you out of the problem. If you get this clear and easier, then you're halfway through. It's already done. There's nothing that you're going to advance in learning emotional intelligence. It's all about learning few things which works, which really works. Keep up doing that and learn here and there any extra things according to your situation, what you need to upskill. But basic things like acknowledging, validating, listening, understanding, empathizing, taking multiple perspectives, these are all basics we have not been taught. We have not been told the importance of it. And hence, maybe this series. Okay. So you're going to validate and acknowledge emotions by recognizing feelings. You're going to identify them with each of your members, express your understanding, and offer support. Only 3 things. First, recognize that and express your understanding. Okay, do not dismiss saying, "Oh no, I've been through it. I've already crossed your age, so I've seen enough." That's the first killer. Do not use those words, whether it is within your child or with your spouse. Okay, that's how you actually dismiss any feelings. Do not do that and validate in a different way. Okay. Then comes expressing your emotions. How do you do this? You're going to identify feelings in the other person. You should be able to read that feelings. As I said, you should be able to read your own feelings as a self component, self empathy. If you can do that, then you can recognize them. Even if they are struggling to tell you what they are exactly feeling, you will be able to imagine and feel that and be able to help them also. So, recognizing and naming your own emotions is very, very important. And communicate clearly. You express your emotions really well. You'll be able to openly and honestly, you'll be able to express or read the emotions in others. Even if they are not able to openly and honestly doing, maybe with your questions, you can bring them to that state of being open. Okay. That is how you can advance in your empathy skills. That means you're truly there, that you can not only manage your emotions, you are not only empathizing yourself, you're also helping other people to empathize. And then sharing needs. Articulate your emotional needs as an individual to other members. That is your self empathy component. Okay. So, unless you articulate what you need, maybe you're tired thinking about others, you just need a break. It's okay, totally. But are you able to communicate it clearly? You just cannot assume that they can read your mind, right? Especially between spouse argument. And it's the same, similarly, it's a responsibility for the other person also to see, have they crossed the boundary because they are stressing you out? So it has to be two-way. Okay. So, but essentially addressing the emotional needs of each other is very, very important. Then balancing emotions and practical solutions. Okay. Emotional needs, acknowledging and addressing the feelings involved, that's your right brain activity. And then practical considerations. You're going to consider logical solutions to address the practical aspects of issues. It could be a money issue, which is clouding the judgment of it is overwhelming a person because financial stress can override any kind of stress. You need to be able to identify that. Then, or it could be a new change effect that people do not know how to handle it, right? They get overwhelmed, they get fear, or it could be something to do with their physicality, they feel tired, or, whatever is the logical derivation, you need to be able to even spot that out. You just cannot go sway believing their emotion because already it is mixed feelings and they may not have the necessary capacity to even explain to you clearly. But you need to gather all those logical data and integrate that and even tell them maybe have they understood this clearly or not. Okay. That is the leadership quality in you. If you can help them go step by step, that's how you are showing your mastery skills there. So it is a combination of how you're able to use your emotional understanding with that of a practical derivation for giving optimal outcomes. That's why you stand high in your empathy skills. Okay. The next one is pretty much clear, a case study where we're talking about Michelle Obama, and in her recent book release, she is also given emotional intelligence as a very key component, how it helped her to maintain that bond. Being a first lady when Obama was was a president of USA, it's a very, very high stake position, right? Huge decision making, and every day could be very intense on the mother, especially as a parent. So how was she able to build that and make it more stronger? So as a family lady, she she insisted to maintain that value system always high in her family, and she gave that emotional support to her children and to her husband. For her, the family stands very unique and very, very important. Her priorities got changed, as well as a woman, how does she conduct herself? So that is what she was propagating. It is important to match and keep that in harmony. So it's not always the wife, it's not always, even though first lady could be very, very high stake, it is not just the wife or it's not just the mother, it's also the woman component individually. How are we able to take care of ourselves? How emotionally connected are we inside us for our emotional well being? So that is what is something that she propagated. So bringing a structured support system. So that is her, highest skill set, strategical skill set, logical brain. And then how does she bounce back with such adversities? Her profile, her domain itself is a very high stake, intense profile, being a first lady of the country. And then she took care of the family and she was into business ventures. She was propagating for women. How did she wear all that hat? So she was able to, even despite of going through adversity, how did she bounce back and play it even? So that is what the case study about Michelle Obama, and that's what we're going to, imbibe from her. And how are we putting that in our life, whether it's family or any personal professional domain also. When it comes to empathy in your family daily practice, okay, we're going to see how we can put this in uh, as a check-in or as a daily ritual, okay? The first thing is morning check-in. Start your day by asking your family members about their feelings. In fact, do that for your own self, okay? First. And then, maybe you will 2 minutes you spend for grateful gratitude practice, and also have a check-in. How are they feeling in the morning? Then actively listen also. So how are you feeling could be a very random and formality question, but it serves a huge way. If the other person is able to respond thoughtfully by using feeling words, it can give you a extraordinary data point, okay, to begin with. So you're going to practice focused listening for 10 minutes with your family member. It's just not 10 minutes alone, but considering the work scenario and, busy day, it is important if you can practice 10 minutes, that's good enough. You'll be able to build on it. Then emotional journaling also help. When you're clouded with feelings or judgment, please start writing. It declocks. And then you're going to build activities for empathy. The first thing is stories, because stories sells a lot. Okay, take turns to share those personal stories and discuss that emotions involved. So the first thing that me and my daughter does, best practices that had deepen our emotional bond is the first 20 minutes from she comes from school, and the first 20 minutes she spends with me. That's where I gather maximum data about her, because she keeps telling her stories from the school times. How was a day? And with just one question, I collect a lot of stories, and from stories I collect a lot of data point, and from those data I gather the pattern also, and from those pattern I can even predict her behavior, and from those predictable behavior is when I'm going to decide what is good for her or not. Okay, so the same structure can be um, developed with each individual, but provided you give that necessary time and effort. And then playing dumb charades, really, it's a good activity for especially using emotions. That'll be a super activity to guess that emotions and start talking about emotions at home. Emotional literacy, very, very important. And gratitude circle. So either you do it individually or you have it as a family game. It'll be wonderful to converge. If all of you are talking about gratitude as a language, as a family practice, how wonderful it could be, right? Your goals, your challenges, your adversity can all be converged, and it'll be a hand in hand supportive activity that you all, that's how we navigate challenges, right? So you're going to transform your family life with empathy by, there are three ways that you can do. Okay. So there is a EQ workshop teaching you brain skills, not just for empathy. It is also for other sub-elements of emotional intelligence using your left brain, right brain, and midbrain. Okay. That's going to happen only for women. There's a link in the description. Please register yourself. The moment there is a workshop going to be announced, you all will get notified personally onto your emails. Then there are free resources available. Okay. You're going to make use of all those free resources. First thing is subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already done, so you'll get notified. And there are a lot of things you can watch. And there's also Spotify podcast I'm doing for each and every episode in a more shorter and point shooter brain hacks with the different examples, different version. So, and there are reels, there are contents, articles coming in a storified format in Substack platforms. So all those links are given in the descriptions. So subscribe and make use of this and share it with somebody. Especially when you like this kind of an episode, please show your love and care for me. So that'll be an inspiration for me. And also don't stop yourself by sharing. I mean, please do share it with other whom you think it's most needed. We need people like you to extend our arms to spread that EQ awareness to a lot of people. And of course, I'm going to give you a reward for you to, as a thank you for you being, staying tuned to all these episodes and especially this episode. And if you're wanting to assess where you stand with empathy, using in your family conversations or building that deeper connections, I'm going to help you with a questionnaire, which will give you four, options. And the right options, you will also get scored. You will understand where you exactly stand today. And there are tips for each and every question, every field. Thereby, you also can get some, extra tips to improve that areas where you think you're missing. So that'll be an excellent tool. Imagine for 100 episodes. I'm taking a little more time to create all that in one place, but I'm going to give you that lifetime access for you. So registered there. I'm giving the, EQ quiz bundles link there. Registered there. The moment the EQ quiz bundles are ready, you will not only find for this topic, you are going to find for all the 100 topics that we are discussing, especially taking the key skills for each angle. You will find a lot of tips, strategies there. Okay, so that'll be a great gift for somebody who is looking forward to improve each and every skill that we are discussing in this 100 days. Remember, emotional intelligence is not a soft skill and it's not a technical skill. It's more towards how you conduct your life. It's more of a life skills and most demanded 21st century skills. So please do like and share with somebody whom you think it's needed. And tomorrow I'm going to be seeing with another interesting skill set itself. Okay, we've done good amount of insights on empathy and emotional insight in the last 1 week. I'm going to be starting with a new skill set tomorrow. It'll be very, very